Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Shri Gaura Priya Murtaya Srimate Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswaminam Shri Chaitanya Manokrishna Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadam Tikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Mahavadanya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaure Tuche Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kantanam Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari. Vrindayai Tulasi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavatai Namah. Welcome, dear devotees, and today we wish everyone a very happy Akshaya Tritiya. It's a great day to remember the glories of the Lord. Today also is the appearance day of Ganga Devi, so it's a auspicious day to perform Ganga Puja. And we have been requested to sing 3 Kirtans together and talk about their meaning in relation to Vraja-bhakti. And these 3 Kirtans are Nitai Pada Kamala, and Narada Muni Bhajaivina, and Radha Kunda Tata. So today we will start with Nitai Pada Kamala. Please have a look at your songbooks or pull up the screen online, and we will sing together. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Dechaya Jagata Juda Eno Nitai Vineva Radha Krishna Paitena Sridha Kori Dharo Nitai Pa Shambandhana Hija Prita Janma Gelota Chehi Pashu Koroduracha Nitai na bolilo mukhe Majilo Shankaratukhe Vidya Kule Ikori Beta Ahankare Mata Hoya Nitai Pada Pasariya Satyere Satya Kori Mani Nitayer Karuna Habe Braje Radha Krishna Pave Dharo Nitai Chanana Dukha.
Prabhuji, you are muted.
Yeah, Sarveshwari Didi, can you unmute me, please?
Now you are unmute now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You can hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you
Okay.
now.
I'm sorry, the Wi-Fi dropped over here. I had to switch to another network. So, Nitaye Charana Satya Tahara Sevaka Nitya Nitai Pada Tada Koro Asha Narottama Boro Duki Nitai More Boro Suki Takuranga Charanira Pasha Nitai Pada Kamana Koti Chandra Sushitala Nitya Jagatayura Doyal Nita Chanda Doyal Nita Chanda Doyal Nita Chanda Doyal Jaya Nityananda Prabhu Nityananda Prabhu Nityananda Prabhu Jaya Nityananda Mhm. Great. So I think now the network is more stable. I hope it will stay like this. So, translation. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So, this is the first verse by Narottam Das Thakur. Now, what is important in regards to Vraja Bhakti is always that we have empathy with the author. We have to take on the position of the author, what he or she is trying to convey. Who is she in the first place? Or who is he in the first place? Narottam Das Thakur. He is the eternal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he has come to preach the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Kirtan. That's why he's called Kirtan Samrat. He is the emperor of Kirtan. He's celebrated on the whole planet as the very emperor of Kirtan. And I went to Manipur one time because my friend Ajit Prabhu, he invited me for the celebration of his Gurudev's Vyasa Puja there, Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami Maharaj. And he put up very beautiful Ras Leela there. That's a local tradition there. Everyone in Manipur till today remembers the Kirtans of Narottam Das Thakur, which are, of course, in Bengali, and the local language there is Manipuri, which is different. Although the script is almost the same, looks almost like Bengali. And so most of the people there till today, they have a very deep Vaishnava culture, and they're very deeply connected to Narottam Das Thakur's Kirtans. And of course, not only Manipur, but all over Bengal, wherever he was preaching. And so he had a very deep impact, and they all are immersed in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. All of the Manipuris who have gotten in touch with that culture, which is practically everyone there, because at least you have neighbors who are Vaishnavas, and you see Ras Leela performances everywhere all the time throughout your life. So that is a very, very effective way of preaching, of course, through Kirtan and through Ras Leela, and through art performances. And that was also very, very dear to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. One time, one of his disciples asked him, Guru Maharaj, why do you give so much emphasis on art, on Ras Leela, and different art performances in Bhakti, and you spend so much time and energy and money for these art performances? Wouldn't it be just better if you would just preach, like in the sense of give class, etc.? And then he said, I can talk about Bhagavad Gita and about science. His topic was science and religion. So I can talk about that for half an hour or 45 minutes. And some people will be attentive, will take something home, but many will be distracted as usual. But if someone sees this performance of Ras Leela and really gets immersed, after 5 minutes, he starts crying and he feels the connection directly in his heart. So that's the power of these art performances, the kirtan. It's a direct link. And our Shastra said that Shrauta Panta is the most efficient way of transcendence, through the ear. Yes? We hear the transcendental message through the ear, and there's a direct connection through the ear to the heart. And the eye often distracts the mind from the deeper message. That's why sometimes it's good to close the eyes and just focus on the inner vibration and the deeper vibration, the deeper meaning of things. To turn more inwards, and that in Sanskrit is called antarmukha. Antarmukha, in contrast to bahirmukha, one is who is introvert, is someone who is more focused on transcendence. So Narottam Das Thakur, he was bringing the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu to all these wonderful countries, fortunate countries. So here, he is glorifying the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And his lotus feet are cooler than millions of moons. And so the entire universe can take shelter in these lotus feet. Now, one thing we have to understand is that Nityananda Prabhu, as a transcendental personality, is also the very embodiment of Sri Guru. He is the embodiment of Guru Tattva. So there's two ways how we can look at anything related to Nityananda Prabhu, generally speaking. One is the personality, Nityananda Prabhu, and the other way is to see him as a representative of Guru Tattva, right? And so, because he is Balaram in Gaur Leela, yeah, and Balaram is Guru Tattva, Balaram is Adi Guru, and so it's very important that we take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. Now, there has been some discussions in the early days, because Nityananda Prabhu is in Sakya Ras, whereas most of our acharyas are in Madhurya Ras. And so there's a huge discussion about that. We won't enter that topic now. But what is more important is to understand that he represents Sri Guru. And Sri Guru can come in unlimited ways. And so the embodiment of Sri Guru, of course, includes all the acharyas who come to us. And in our lineage, they are mostly in Madhurya Ras. So sometimes devotees ask, okay, is it not detrimental, or is it not like unsuitable to have Nityananda Prabhu being worshipped at the same time while you worship Radha Krishna? And of course, that's a big topic. But in brief, if you see him as the representative of Sri Guru, and Sri Guru is in the same rasa, no, there is no clash. And in this kirtan particularly, we will see how very clearly Narottam Das Thakur has often he has, or mostly he has emphasized the Guru Tattva aspect. Okay, and already here in the first verse, this becomes quite clear. Heno nitai bine bhai Radha Krishna paitenai. Without Nityananda Prabhu, nobody can get the shelter of Radha Krishna. So, who of you has direct access to the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu nowadays? Very fortunate, rare souls may have direct darshan, or you could say the deity, of course. And we can take and we should take shelter of the deity. But all of us, we can take shelter of Sri Guru in his most merciful form, the directly available spiritual masters here, or also the previous acharyas who are still very close to us, who know our environment and how we have to adapt our sadhana to the present conditions of our environment. So that's why, because sadhana is different in different circumstances, we always need like a guru update, so to say. So Sri Guru manifests in different ways that are suitable to the present circumstances. He's always up to date. And so unless we learn Vraja Bhakti from a pure devotee, who is of course the representative of Nityananda Prabhu, then Radha Krishna Paitenai, we cannot attain Radha Krishna. And with Radha Krishna, very clearly, Narottam Das Thakur, of course, he speaks about, the worship of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, Vraja Bhakti. That becomes even clearer when later he says in the third verse, Braje Radha Krishna Prabhu, Nitayar Karuna Have Braje Radha Krishna Prabhu. By the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, we will attain Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Braje means in Braj. Okay, Braj is the entire Braja Mandala era. So this is particularly important because we have to understand that unless we take shelter of a pure devotee who is the very embodiment of Nityananda Prabhu's Shakti, his mercy that descends, Guru Tattva, then we cannot attain Radha Krishna in Braj. Okay, if for example you follow a guru who is in Aishwaryamai Bhakti, then he can get you up to that level, whether that be Vaikunta or Ayodhya or whatever. But if you want to go to Vrindavan, then you have to take shelter of a guru who is steeped in Braja Bhakti. So that's why Narottam Das Thakur says, Drida Kuri Dharo Nitai Pai. So with firm determination, take shelter of those beautiful cooling lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Means, of course, take shelter of his present form, the most merciful form of Nityananda Prabhu or the Lord is Sri Guru. Yeah, a pure devotee who is present or as present as possible, can also be 1 or 2 generations back, but usually those are the recommended forms of shelter of the Lord's mercy. And then in the second verse, so someone who doesn't have that relationship with Sri Guru, his birth is useless. And he is just like an animal. Pashu means animal. So what do the animals do? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And they are absorbed in that. And human beings who are not having any scope of transcendence, they are just like polished animals. They do those 4 things in a polished way, in a so-called human way. But even that really doesn't come up to the mark of real human culture, because that should be in bhakti. And so that can only be Shuddha Bhakti particularly, and especially Vraja Bhakti can only be taught by a pure devotee who is steeped in that mood. So that relationship is very, very important. And if we don't have that relationship, then Narottam Das Thakur says, then our birth is useless. And someone who doesn't chant Nitai's name, Nitana Bulila Mukhe, and who's just absorbed in the so-called happiness of this material world, even his high birth, Vidya Pule and his family cannot free him, because particularly in India, many people who have a high birth in high families, they have this attitude that simply by being born in a high family, they will surely get liberated. But it's not that easy, particularly not if you are practicing Vraja Bhakti, because that is a very, very particular way that has to be learned and practiced in a very, very particular way. So those who are bewildered by the ahankar, the false ego, ahankare matahoya, nita pada pastarya, only they neglect the lotus feet of Nitai. And they will take what is true to be untrue and what is untrue to be true, because they're confused, because they don't have that guidance, Sri Guru. And again, Nitayar Karuna Have Braje Radha Krishna Pave. By the mercy of that very embodiment of Nityananda's mercy, Sri Guru, we can attain Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Dharo Nitai Charana. Again, that's why, we should firmly take shelter and firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. His lotus feet are the highest truth. Nitayar Charana Satya Tahara Shivaka Nitya. And his sevak, or his servant, is eternal because he lives eternally. Nitai Pada Shada Koro Asha. I always desire the lotus feet of Lord. Narottam Borodukhi Nitai Mure Koros. Narottam is unfortunate or suffering, and please, Nitai, make me happy. Rakuranga Charanira Pasha. Please keep me close to your lotus feet. So, of course, we have to understand that Narottam Das Thakur here is expressing his humility. He is eternally liberated soul who is not unhappy like material people are, but he is expressing his humility also for us to be able to take shelter in the proper way. And so this is also something, of course, that for us is important, that we understand that when we suffer, then the solution is to take shelter of Lord Nityananda's lotus. So here in this beautiful Kirtan, Narottam Das Thakur, you can very clearly trace out the elements that lead to Vraja Bhakti and the emphasis on the great importance of taking shelter of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, his lotus feet, which means taking shelter of a pure devotee in our lineage. And so I'm now giving you the chance to ask questions or comment also on this kirtan. Jai Nitai.
Prabhu,
Yes, Didi.
is because Narottam Das is a intimate associate of Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
So in this verse, when he says, make me happy, keeping me close to his lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So this is mood of separation. It's because when he say, is this the mood of separation? Because like you say, Nityananda Prabhu is also no this Ananga Manjari, no Ananga Manjari.
Champaka Manjari.
Who is?
Champaka Manjari.
Champaka Manjari. Narottam Das Champaka Manjari. So he's is in separation of just wanted through get the lotus feet of Shrimati Radhika. Is this the mood in this verse, particularly the last one.
Yes, yes, right. So of course, Narottam Das Thakur, he came in a time when most of the associates of Mahaprabhu, they had already left the planet. So it was a very pathetic scenario for him because he actually wanted to meet all these associates, and wherever he went, these associates had already left, and he tried in great agony, in great separation grief from them. And so this intense fire of separation, of course, was infused into his kirtan. And of course, this fire of separation is the most powerful means for sadhana. And this is why his songs are so much surcharged with this power to progress very, very quickly in bhakti. And so, yeah, if you see here in the last line, like you're saying, Didi, please make me happy. So if, for example, the Mayavadis, they are of the opinion that everything is one and we have already attained everything, we just need to become aware of it. So they would never say that, oh, I'm suffering, when will I finally meet you, Lord? But they make statements like, I'm one with everything, I just have to realize it. So here, Narottam Das Thakur is very clearly saying, I'm desiring always the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, although, of course, he is internally fully connected, still he's hankering, and he feels that he is suffering because he's in separation also of Nityananda Prabhu. Now, there is something we have to understand here, and that is, first of all, that suffering is not at all like the suffering in this material world, of course. It's full of bliss. And why is it full of bliss? It's because they have already, especially in the transcendental personality, they have already had the darshan, they have already had the vision, they had the sangha already, and that's full, that of course makes you full of bliss. And then the anticipation of meeting them again is a great ecstasy. So it's basically you're anticipating, you're looking forward to finally meeting them again as an eternal associate, and that hankering is seen externally as separation grief. You're crying or whatever, you just feel sad also, but you have to understand internally it's the greatest bliss. And so the other thing is that we have to understand that why this particularly is so powerful, this sadhana in Viraha Prem, is because the very particular ticket, in simple language, to Goloka is loliam, is that intense greed, that intense hankering. And if you already have something, then why would you hanker for it, right? So you hanker for something that you don't have. And so that is happening in separation. That's why separation is so important for our Vraja Bhakti Sadhana or Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana, because in that setting or environment, the hankering becomes more and more and more. And that hankering itself is the ticket. Like Srila Rupa Goswami says, Tatra loliam apimulyam ekalam. The only price you have to pay for practicing Raganuga Bhakti or for practicing Vraja Bhakti is loliam, is this intense greed to attain the eternal pastimes, following in the footsteps of the eternal Brajavasi. So, therefore, like you're saying, Didi, this viraha is so important, and therefore Narottam Das Thakur when he infuses his kirtans with that viraha, is a priceless treasure house for us, not just because it's amazing poetry and beautiful kirtans, but particularly because that mood is encapsulated in it. That is the very powerful medicine. It's first bitter, but then sweet. But even the bitter part is already sweet because it's not bitter like something material. Tastes bitter like karela. It's indescribable in material language. It's bitter yet sweet. You can say bittersweet. That's maybe the closer term for it. So, but surely it's not bitter like a karela. That's for sure. So this separation mood is there expressed in the last verse here. Of course, we have other songs by Narottam Das Thakur that are focusing more on the separation part, and those we can have a look at also another time. But generally, even if he thinks about meeting or whatever, always this is infused with the mood of separation. Means always this it's infused with the mood of hankering. Yeah. So sometimes people they misunderstand what separation means. The very value of separation is not there in itself. Separation is not for its own sake. So Srila Rupa Goswami has described that in his very esoteric book, Ujjvala Nilamani. I'm not qualified to read that, but I went through it because I had to do research for one publication. And there he mentions that separation is only there to nourish the meeting. Poshana, he uses the word poshana, that means to nourishment or to nourish. So we have to understand that because this separation nourishes meeting, that's why it's so blissful. And so what is separation? It's an anticipation of the coming meeting. It's also, we're always focusing on meetings. Sometimes we're in meeting and sometimes we're not in the meeting, then we're in separation, but the focus is on the meeting. And that's when lolium really, really takes off, that hankering really, really takes off, right? And there are many, many topics related to that. We will dedicate more time for this separately. And yes, Sarveshwari Didi, you want to say
But
something?
Prabhu, you say that the Narottam Prabhu, he never meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he never meet Lord Nityananda, or he did meet?
Yeah, as far as I can remember, in his biographies, he didn't meet them. For sure, he hasn't met Lord Chaitanya. I think he also hasn't met Nityananda Prabhu because he came later. He has exposited his prema in the Padma River. So basically, there was this time in Gaur Leela when he started to become ecstatic and he chanted the name of Narottam, Narottam, and everybody was thinking, who is this Narottam? Because he was not present at that moment. He hasn't taken birth yet. And then Mahaprabhu said that, oh, in the future, my dear, very, very dear Premi Bhakta will appear. And I'm depositing all my love here in the Padma River. And then when Narottam took bath in the Padma River, then he attained this Krishna Prem, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, he traveled throughout Bharat, throughout India. But wherever he came, all the senior devotees had just left and everybody was crying. So he fell down unconscious and in great agony, he was crying and crying. And so that's why his kirtans particularly are so much infused with that viraha prem, which is very, very powerful for us to make quick progress. Yes.
Prabhuji, there is one more example of this separation mood. Srila Bhaktivallabh Tirth Maharaj, when he used to go to his Gurudev Bhajan Kutir, Param Gurudev Bhajan Kutir, he was in the mood of separation. He was crying, weeping, and just talking to the Gurudev in a mood of separation, like all the time. But he never looked distressed. He looked blissful and peaceful whenever he was talking to his Gurudev. As I heard from the like your god brothers in Hari Kathas, everything. But he was crying, like in every single word he was crying. He was talking to his Gurudev, he's paying his obeisance to Srila Param Gurudev and crying, but still he was in a bliss. Like so it means then separation, it's an example. Then separation, it doesn't mean distress, it's just a union between two. I don't know I'm right, or but that's what I understand. I can correlate this one to Shila Gurudev example, and just
Mhm. Yes,
trying to understand that.
yes, Didi, very beautifully expressed on the example of the Guru Maharaj, who is also the
Yeah.
embodiment of Nityananda's Shakti. So this separation is very hard to understand for many, many people, even devotees, not to speak of non-devotees, because when they see the devotees in agony and crying and expressing their humility and expressing their pain, they often misunderstand. Even if you would see Srila Guru Maharaj in the Bhajan Kutir, he was really, really crying in separation, and it was not always, I mean, it was really at the same time very painful to see and at the same time very blissful if you could connect. Now, I remember there were some devotees who could not connect internally to his bliss, and they were afraid. They were like, what's going on? Why is he crying? And what happened? So it's not so easy from outside to really understand what's going on inside. And like you have heard correctly, of course, the devotees who are with him, they have expressed many times that actually he's in bliss, that they can feel that also. But from outside, it's sometimes difficult to understand. And so we have to understand what is going on in the heart of Sri Guru. And how we can do that is by sincere prayer for the revelation of the very same, by connecting to the seniors and asking them very, very confidential questions like, please tell me more about my Guru Maharaj. What is really on his heart? And, what does he really, really want from us? There are um, external like injunctions of the scriptures, and there are external instructions of the spiritual master, and there's more and more confidential instructions that he may not share in public, or may rarely mention even in public. And so it's important for us to go deeper and understand what's really on Guru Maharaj's heart. Like one time, Guru Maharaj expressed it very beautifully when he said, "What is really sadhu sangha?" He said, "Sadhu sangha mane sadhu chitta vrittir anugaman." That's Bengali, and it means, so what is real sadhu sangha? Sadhu sangha is not just massaging the lotus feet of Guru or being in his proximity and following everything that he says externally, but it is to grasp and follow the innermost heart desire of sadhu, the innermost heart desire. So that is the real mission of a disciple. And so yes, here when we understand that Guru is actually in bliss when he cries in front of Gurudev, then only we can actually feel that. We can, and by mercy also, of course, but often we hear first and then we feel. So then we can connect deeper, and then we will even see how he's in bliss. Another person may completely be unaware and not understand how he's in bliss, but for us now, we have that very shukshma drishti, that very subtle vision that is required to have that darshan. Yes, Didi, thank you for mentioning.
Prabhu, one
Hare
thing.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yes, yes, sorry, Mataji, please go.
No, I say what is amazing mean that the no going back to to Narottam Das Thakur that actually when Mahaprabhu instruct the Padma River, that when you're going to base there, it will get Krishna Prema. It means that you already was connected before birth. That's amazing. You already have the connection with him before birth. I don't know. That it already was connected. And actually, Krishna, he met in this way. He met him in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in I don't know, maybe separation. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but he met him before.
Yes,
He met
Didi,
him
that's right.
actually.
That's right. They are eternal associates. So Narottam Das Thakur, he is Champaka Lata, Champaka Manjari. So of course, before, if you want to use that language of time,
Yeah, time.
they
Yeah.
were eternally, together, both in Gaur Leela as well in Krishna Leela. So when they descend on the material world, they are internally connected. But now Yoga Maya is making all this arrangement that these eternal associates, who are mostly Sakis and Manjaris, they become covered and they take on mostly male forms, which is also very fantastic if you think
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
And then gradually their identities are revealed. Even Nityananda Prabhu was not together with Mahaprabhu for many, many years, and finally they met in Chandrasekhar Acharya Bhavan in Mayapur, and it was an ecstatic meeting. So this is, of course, the wonderful magic of Yoga Maya that allows this to happen. But they're eternally connected. You're right. Yes.
Mm. Mm.
So let us move on, and we go to the next Kirtan, Narada Muni, Vajai Veena. Please open that Kirtan.
No. Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Or you need some more time?
Yes. No, I found.
Narada Muni Vajai Veena Ramana Name Namaya Mani Udita hoy bhakata gita same Narada Muni Vajai Veena Radhika Ramana Name Ami Adhara Barishe Ghana Shravana Jugale Giya Bhakat Jana Saghane Nache Bhoriya Panahiya Narada Muni Vajai Veena Radhika Ramana Name Madhuri Puraya Sabapashi Mataya Jagata Jani Kehova Kande Kehova Nache Kehomate Mone Mane Narada Muni Bhajaye Veena Radhika Ramana Name Panchavadana Narade Dhori Premero Saganaro Kamalasana Nachiya Bole Bolo Bolo Hari Bol Narada Muni Bajai Veena Radhika Ramana Name Sahasranana Paramasuke Hari Hari Boli Gaya Nama Prabhave Namarasya Shobe Paya Narada Muni Baje Vina Radhika Ramana Name Shri Krishna Nama Rasane Puri Puralo Yamarayasha Shri Rupa Pade Achaye Iha Bhakati Vinoda Dasa Narada Muni Bhajaye Vina Radhika Ramana Name Narada Muni Bhajaye Vina Radhika Ramana Name Radhika Ramana Name. So, it's a very beautiful Kirtan by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and this is about Kirtan Rasa, yeah, about the wonderful relish of Kirtan, Harinamamrita. When the great soul Narada Muni plays his veena, the holy name Radhika Raman descends and immediately appears amidst the Kirtan of the Lord's devotee. So, again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is an eternal associate of the Lord, and he's also steeped in Vraja Bhakti, particularly Madhurya Ras. So, since he's also Manjari in his Swarupa, so all his kirtans will be infused with that particular rasa. And here we can see that Narada Muni is singing the names of Radhika Raman. Yeah? And so Narada Muni, he is a transcendental spaceman. Okay, he goes everywhere by his own divine will, and he is also steeped in Aishwaryamaya Bhakti, but also he can take part in Madhuryamaya Bhakti. He has different forms also. There is also Naradiya Gopi is there, which is part of his being. So he also relishes Gopi Prem in Vrindavan. So that's therefore not a surprise that he's chanting Radharaman, Radhika Raman's name, because he has different forms. Yeah, so this is therefore it's compatible. It's not a contradiction. Like a monsoon cloud, the holy name showers nectar in their ears. All the devotees, due to great ecstasy, repeatedly dance to their heart's content. All the people of the universe become maddened upon entering this intoxicating shower of nectar. Some people cry, some dance, and others become fully intoxicated within their mind. Lord Shiva, embracing Narada Muni, repeatedly makes loud screams of ecstatic joy. And Lord Brahma, dancing very ecstatically, says, all of you kindly chant, Haribol, Haribol. So, Lord Shiva, yeah, he of course, he is Gopeshwar Mahadev, who also is very eager to take part in Vraja Bhakti in Vrindavan. He is the very Lord who protects Vrindavan. Yeah? He is a Kshetrapal in all the dhams of the Vaishnavas. He is the one who protects the dhamas, be it Navadvip Dham, be it Brajamandala, everywhere he's there. And so therefore we can understand that this is, for him, it's also very ecstatic, of course, to chant the names of Radha and Radharaman. In great happiness, the thousand-faced Ananta Shesha chants Hari Hari by the influence of the transcendental vibration of the holy name. The whole universe becomes ecstatically maddened, and everyone tastes the mellows of the holy Ananta Shesha. Again, this is Balaram Tattva verse Sri Guru Tattva. So he's ecstatically chanting Hari Hari as well. Thakur Bhaktivinoda, the humble servant of the Lord, said, the holy name of Krishna has fulfilled all my desires by vibrating on everyone's tongue. Bhaktivinoda therefore prays at the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami that the chanting of Harinam may continue like this always. So here we see that in the end, Thakur Bhaktivinoda has mentioned that he prays at the feet of Rupa Goswami. Usually, the disciple establishes the connection to his guru somewhere in the writings he writes. Of course, as we know, Thakur Bhaktivinoda's gurus were Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, and also Vipin Bihari Goswami. So, but here he mentions the name of Rupa Goswami. Why is this so? Because in his Swarupa, he is serving under Rupa Manjari, who is Rupa Goswami in Gaur Leela. Now, this is, of course, very interesting, because for us also, like Guru Maharaj explains, why Narottam Das Thakur, why is he worshipping Rupa Goswami as the all-in-all? Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Shri Mora Shampada. The greatest treasure, the greatest wealth is Rupa Goswami's lotus feet. Why not Narottam Das Thakur's guru, Lokanath Goswami? Because ultimately in our lineage, we all desire, we hanker to be engaged in the eternal service under Rupa Manjari, under Rupa Goswami. So again, here you see the connection to this particular way of Vraja Bhakti very, very clearly. So this song can be sung by anyone who wants to glorify the chanting of the holy names and can be appreciated. But of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has purposely left his signature of Vraja Bhakti, of Rupa Goswami's lineage in this kirtan. So here we see how this is very clearly aimed at Vraja Bhakti. And I'm now opening the round for devotees to ask questions and comments.
When you say in the 4th line, Lord Brahma, it means to Haridas Thakur, that is dancing, or because Lord Brahma is not in Aishwarya?
Yes. Lord Brahma, yes, he is mostly in Aishwarya, and that's why he got bewildered in the Brahma Vimohan Leela when he saw the little Gopal who, was just having this yogurt in his left hand, not in the right hand, even eating from his left hand and taking food from his friends who had already tasted it. How can this Govinda, who is just a coward boy, how can he be Parameshwar? How can he be Bhagavan? He couldn't understand that. And so, yes, but then he realized, because Krishna, he revealed himself to him, he showed him his true identity, and then Lord Brahma composed the Brahma Samhita, and the Brahma Samhita is full of Vraja Bhakti. It very clearly describes the eternal pastimes of Radha Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. So therefore we can understand that Brahma, he actually realized the eternal pastimes, although he's steeped in Aishwarya. He, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, had the darshan, the proper understanding. And of course there are unlimited Brahmas and in unlimited universes, but that particular Brahma who got that mercy and that darshan, he was here present on this planet, and so he had that insight. And after this realization, he wanted to have a chance to have a very humble birth, so that he would not be proud of his status. And then in Gaur Leela, he appeared as Haridas Thakur. So Lord Brahma is giving us a very beautiful teaching how important humility is. If you have the highest position in the universe, it's very difficult to be humble and to really get the mercy of the Lord. That's why Lord Brahma got this position, this humble position, and he became Haridas Thakur, Namacharya. Yes. So we are now in the time also for the Australian devotees maybe to continue their duties. I don't want to take too much of your time. You let me know if you want to continue or if you should continue next time.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I have to go because I wake up early.
Yes.
So this time after 9 o'clock, my battery goes flat.
Yes.
I just want to. So maybe if others wants to continue, it's okay. Then otherwise we will do it next week, or I'll listen the recording.
Next week. It's very late for me.
Because anyway you have requested Radha-kunda Tata,
Yes.
so we cannot
Yes,
do that
yes.
now. Impossible.
Yes.
So we'll continue next time. Yeah?
Yeah, next
Yes,
week we
Prabhuji,
will
it's
continue
good.
that one.
Okay, wonderful. Wish you
But very
wonderful
nice, Prabhuji, you very nice. Your voice is beautiful. You sing beautiful melodies, Kirtan.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you
nice.
for joining me today, and I was happy to do Kirtan with you. And yes, I'm looking forward to Radha-kunda Tata next time.
Yes, next
Yes,
time.
Prabhuji.
Wonderful.
Haribol, Haribol.
Rest of Akshaya Tritiya to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
everyone.
Prabhu. Dandvat Pranam. Hare Krishna, Mata.
Dandavad. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavad to everyone.
Hare Bol,
Pranam,
Hare
pranam.
Krishna.